You're listening to the Industry Alchemist podcast. The definition of alchemy is a seemingly magical process of transformation or creation. This podcast exists to hear the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders doing just that in their industry. We hear about the journey of the brave souls carving a new path, moving their industry and our lives forward in a seemingly magical way. This episode is brought to you by OfficeChief.com. Office Chief exists to make moving your office easy and painless. Moving an office can be a big hassle. On top of running your company, you're thrown into having to figure out what to do. Hire space planners, furniture companies, movers, IT consultants, the list goes on. It only takes 2 minutes to create a profile, and Office Chief gives you a step-by-step action plan and connects you with the top vendors in your market. Moving your office? Log on to OfficeChief.com and make it easy. I'm your host, Matt Brower, co-founder and managing broker of Column Commercial Partners, helping companies save money on their real estate. I'm also founder and CEO of OfficeChief.com, an online resource for businesses moving their office or updating their space.
Hey guys, welcome to the Industry Alchemist podcast. Our guest today is joining us from his home in Los Angeles, California. After receiving his MBA in marketing, he started his journey into serial entrepreneurship and has a focus on identifying need opportunities in growing market segments that impact the greater good. His latest company is called Ozobot, which is an Edtech company whose mission is to inspire young minds to take the leap from consuming technology to creating it, which I'm sure that is not an easy task, but I've seen the little robots you guys make, and I'm sure it's a very popular thing that you have on the market. So welcome to the show, Nader Hamda. Wanted to learn more about what you guys are doing. I want to learn more about what Ozobot has. I understand there's like two different, types of robots, and you're basically teaching little kids how to code, which is clearly the future. Can we start by just jumping into how your entrepreneurial spirit started? And I also want to know, it looked like, what was the name of your first company having to do with helping kids sleep better?
Right, that was actually my second company. It was called, it's called Cloud B. And
Cloud B, yeah. So I wasn't sure if that was also existed to help children or really help the parents since the kids were sleeping better.
Well, it helps both.
That's good.
A happy sleepy child is a happy sleepy parent. So
exactly.
That's how we look at it.
That's great. No, I appreciate you taking the time here to be on the show. And I would die to be in Los Angeles right now. However, I'm not sure if the beaches are quite open yet. But
they actually just started opening, but I think over here we're being cautiously optimistic. So at least in the Los Angeles area, no one is going full force. They haven't put the volleyball nets up, so that's one area to kind of slow things down a bit because we all love to play volleyball around here.
Oh yeah, beach volleyball is incredibly fun.
Right.
So. Yeah, so talk to me about, so you got your MBA in marketing, and have you always had the entrepreneurial buzz? Did you get a job right out of school? How did you kind of jump right in?
Yeah, well, thanks. I would say yes, I've always had that entrepreneurial buzz in even my MBA. My thesis was writing out my first business plan on starting my own company. So even from an early age, that's what I wanted to do. I got my MBA in New York. After that, I got in my car and drove out west and landed in LA and just started. I had a marketing director job as my first kind of landing here. But as soon as I got that, I was already starting to think about what I wanted to do to start my own. I feel like I'm pretty opinionated, so sometimes when you have that kind of mindset, you kind of want to at least test things out on your own. And so I started my first business probably a year and a half after I landed here. Okay. And that was the birth of the internet, or at least the growth of the internet in the mid-90s, and started building web solutions, websites, and grew that to intranets, extranets, e-business solutions, and grew with the net. And that was my first venture into entrepreneurship.
How did you choose LA?
So when I was taking my MBA, I was working for a company called Prodigy, they were competing with AOL on offering services. And I was working for their marketing and advertising department, and we had to shoot a TV commercial. So we flew out to LA to shoot our TV commercial. It was the middle of January. So I left New York. It was a blizzard. Came out here. It was super nice. Even though we worked around the clock shooting the video and the commercials, it stuck with me. I'm like, And I flew back to New York, and it was a blizzard again. I'm like, you know what? I gotta go where the climate suits my clothes a little better. And as soon as I graduated, got in the car and came out west.
Volleyball on sand is a little more comfortable than on snow, I guess.
I would agree with you there.
Oh, that's great. Well, I love both cities. New York, both cities are very international. New York, I visited several times. I guess the best trip I had was just this last fall. Went there with several of my good friends and really got to experience that city through the food and the bars and walking through the neighborhoods and everything. Hadn't quite done that yet. So, but yeah, I know I've been there over Christmas and it is very, very cold.
I would agree with you. I love New York, and I get an opportunity to go back there at least once or twice a year, and it is still home in many ways for me. But I kind of look at myself as a citizen of planet Earth. I kind of look at every place I go can be home for a little while, and I travel in Europe a lot now and in Asia. And every place has an amazing culture and food and great things to offer. It's just finding what you want to find is what it comes down to. Yeah,
that's great. So did you end up exiting your web business, or what did you do with that before getting into your next?
Yeah, so with that company, we grew with the net, and in 2000 was the first big .com bubble, and we had a cardinal sin where we actually had 70% of our ARs tied to .com builds. We were building for e-properties, e-toys, e-hobbies, e-this we were building. They went Chapter 11, so that was a massive shock to our ARs, and that was the beginning of the end of that. So quickly downsized the company, brought it down to a core group, mostly a core group that can think outside the box. And we kind of had a lot of think tank meetings and said, you know what, I don't care if we sell shoes, we just got to figure out a way to get off of this ship and get into a different business that we can tap into our own skill sets, but also find need opportunities that we can make a compelling story around. And that's the
so how did you come across that? Like, how did you find that need in the market to build your next venture?
Yeah. So for us, for me, I'm a big believer of planning the work before you work the plan. So, and in planning the work, you have to do as much research as you possibly can. And when we were doing the think tank meetings, we were looking at all these different industries. We were looking at trying to find recession-proof industries, quote unquote, recession-proof, as much as possible, because we were kind of gun shy coming off of the web side of it. And it also coincided with the birth of my first child. And to that point about the baby sleeping, that was really one of the most life-changing events in my life. Bringing my brand new baby home and experiencing a sleepless night. It was just earth-shattering on so many levels. Wow. How do I get my baby to go to sleep so I can go to sleep and my wife can go to sleep? And we did a lot of research around that. And we were able to validate that if you actually soothe the senses and you can quiet a sense down, you calm the mind and you can sleep better. So we validated that for adults. We validated that for kids. And so we built a business around soothing the senses. And that was the company Cloud B. And then the flagship products were called Sleep Sheep and Twilight Turtle. which suit the senses of sight and sound. And we've also introduced the different senses around them, but those are really the main two flagship products. And rolled it out, and it's kind of neat because I still see and talk to people that use the sleep sheep as more of a sound pacifier to help the baby sleep. So it's really neat to kind of see that it's still out there.
Still out there. Are those I'm wondering now if I've seen them. Are they kind of parts of them are stuffed animal and parts of them are like a shell with lights coming out and they play music?
That's exactly right. So the sleep sheep it's basically a stuffed animal, and it has a little sound device in the back of it. It's got 4 different sounds. They're all water-based sounds because basically the first 10 months of a baby's life, they're underwater. So a water-based sound is more familiar to them.
Okay.
So we focused on that.
Interesting.
The Twilight Turtle it's half plush, half shell, half hard shell. And we needed the hard shell because we can basically carve out stars in them. So when you turn it on, it illuminates an entire night sky into the ceiling. Much more for helping children ease fear of the dark than it is to help them sleep. But it's also part of the sleep because if they're not scared of the boogeyman or the person in the closet, the monster in the closet, they can go to sleep better.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have 9 nieces and nephews, and I'm pretty sure of my 3 brothers, I think every single one of them had, for their kids, had one of those.
Yeah.
That was your company.
That was my company, and it was really an amazing journey building those, and hearing how it actually helps kids and helps adults. Always rewarding to hear the good stories around that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so now then you carried your journey into actually being involved in an incubator. Was that to look for more opportunity or to mentor or all the above?
Yes. Then after getting able to step out of day-to-day from Cloud B, I took a year off to try to think about what I wanted to do next. And at this phase in my journey, it was really more about finding social impact as much as anything else and trying to understand how we can continue to impart something positive. And also, I'm always looking at my own kids. They're as much teachers to my own life journey as I am helping guide theirs. And in watching them grow and seeing that I was in many ways part of the problem than the solution when I was giving them my phone as a form of a digital pacifier to quiet them down because they can just jump on some app. I saw that I was actually empowering this addiction on the device, and seeing them just swiping, their entire personalities changed. Everything about them changed as soon as they got involved with this smartphone. And that became something that I thought I needed to find ways to make that a more enriching experience. So did my research around that, brought a core group that kind of started from my previous 2 companies. They joined me into the building of this next one. We started doing a lot of research around, how do we make this more enriching? What do we do with this? And at the same time, to me, robots were an interesting kind of side path in looking at this research where I thought robots were not properly introduced to children at a young age in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And when you start to look at robots and robotics in the workforce, it's already pretty much ubiquitous in so many different industries that it was important for us to find a way to introduce robots to kids at a young age so they understand how robots work. They understand how to control a robot, how to manage a robot, but also how to work alongside a robot. So that became the thesis around how we wanted to introduce Ozobot as a brand that kind of introduced really smart experiences with a tablet and with robotics. And from there, we, as soon as we launched it, we immediately began focusing heavily on developing much more structured experiences for the classroom. So kids get to understand not just they get to really learn different curriculum, everyone has to go through curriculum and core and standards. And we found ways to incorporate robotics and STEAM education into what curriculum already is. So it's not a heavy lift for schools, but we're basically systematically elevating curriculum to incorporate much more future-ready skills, global competence skills, the 4 Cs, all the different things that right now that we're looking at. What are the skill sets that are going to be necessary to make students coming out of high school and out of college more appealing for the workforce?
Yeah.
Those skill sets have changed over decades, but education has not changed over these same decades. So for us, we had to find ways to teach kids these critical skill sets, critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving, while they are still having to check off the standard curriculum courses.
So are you then partnering with school districts to have what you're offering be a part of the curriculum?
We work with the school districts, yes, and what we do is we don't really try to change anything that they're currently doing. We integrate with what they're doing. So as a teacher, as an example, coming in from, say, New York, they have certain standards and they have to finish an entire coursework over one semester. The last thing they want to do is try to figure out, how do I incorporate a new tech tool that is kind of a cool little thing. First, I'm nervous about introducing a tech tool that my kids might know more about it than I do. Yeah. So we got to solve for that. And then we have to figure out a way to go, okay, if you're a 4th grade teacher and you have to teach the digestive system. So we know you already have to do that. How do we incorporate the digestive system into our coursework with our robotics, where they're still checking that off, but in doing that, they're also triggering or checking off A in STEAM for arts, or they're also incorporating coding while they're also learning a core subject. So that's how we incorporate it. It's a seamless integration into current curriculum, so districts understand. Well, pre-COVID, STEM was a very important kind of high buzzword, and budgets were being available to incorporate STEM into curriculum. So that's how we spoke to the districts, explaining to them that here's a solution that complements what you're doing while incorporating these future-ready skills.
So it seems like, and I was on your website, it seems like the use of the robot and the iPad and everything, you've essentially gamified this form of education for the kids. They're kind of learning while having fun and tinkering with this little robot and teaching it to do things. Is that pretty accurate?
It is somewhat accurate. Obviously, with my first story about my daughters with the smartphone, that is a normal experience for them. They're used to they're used to tablets, they're used to phones. So continuing to embrace that is their normal. How do we enrich that experience? So gamification, the leveling up, the unlocking, those are kind of tried and true metrics in the gaming world that need to be incorporated into the education space. So they are unlocking, they're moving forward, and it definitely helps continue to improve the engagement. Calculus is calculus. It's hard to gamify calculus, but sometimes if you can unlock something and make it and introduce it in little bites, it becomes more appealing.
Yeah, more appealing.
Yeah.
It is fascinating how, I will watch, they're a little bit older now, but I would watch my 2-year-old niece, for instance, grab an iPad and just know exactly what to do with it. I just don't understand how it comes so natural to little kids these days to know how to navigate these things. So basically you're capitalizing on that natural form of how they already have that. And so it's really cool what you're doing. And I understand that in now the world of, hey, we're all remote, at least for the time being, you guys have already shifted, or maybe you were already shifted to doing this virtually as well? They don't have to be in the classroom?
That's correct. So the big part of really the COVID moment has really kind of brought it's exposed a lot of weaknesses in different industries. In education, it really exposed a lot of shortcomings or a lot of areas that have not evolved fast enough with the infusion of technology into our everyday lives. Education has still kind of almost stuck in the industrial revolution and has not evolved from a curriculum perspective, from an integration of Edtech into the classroom. And so this was a moment where we looked at and said, okay, for the last 2 years, we've been building our software platform to integrate with our hardware. So the robots, one of the things that we heard from our community, our districts, our teachers, they love it, the kids are engaged, but they can't quite quantify that engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an important component to any education system, and we understood that. And so we've built a software component. So the bots at all times are delivering the information that they're reading either on paper or on tablets back to a dashboard for a teacher to understand and measure the success of what this lesson is what the students are doing with the lesson. With COVID hitting and understanding that all of a sudden everything went remote, the remote moment became almost ubiquitous instantly for all the students around the world.
Yeah.
And that became a moment where every school system said, okay, how do we now start to teach in this new normal? And being able to deliver solutions, not just for the classroom, but for the home as well, became a high priority for us as a company because our robots are 1 inch in size. So they're very easy to transport. And when we look at other successful tech tools in the classroom, like the tablets and the Chromebooks and the computers, the iPads, those have already kind of gone into a one-to-one model where in this moment, actually school districts are sending computers, tablets, Chromebooks to their students to work from home. And that's what we immediately began to look at our solution. Our software solution has to be able to allow teachers to pick a lesson from our lesson library. We have over 3,000 lessons right now in our library.
Wow.
It's all mostly community-based, and that was the whole genesis also, is making sure that for us to really elevate curriculum, it cannot be curriculum that we think is the right curriculum. It's got to be curriculum that is made and built by the community of teachers that understand what is relevant in their geo regions, so they can introduce a lesson to their community, and then some other teacher from a different part of the country or the world can take that same lesson and incorporate it.
Yeah.
That context, we're basically taking best practices from all different teachers across the world to continue to elevate and be very relevant in what topics they want their students to learn. So we're able to give these lessons out, get teachers to pick a lesson, and then basically send a lesson, shoot a lesson out to their students, whether they're in the classroom, it's in real time, obviously, whether if it's at home, they can submit a lesson through our platform, our Ozobot platform, which we integrate with other LMS systems like Google Classroom. So it's an easy thing for a teacher that knows how to use a Google Classroom can then also know that Ozobot is integrated with that.
Yeah.
Send that lesson out to the student. Student does the lesson, submits it back, and that's how we're incorporating our whole experience to be relevant for the moment.
So back at the very beginning, how was it that you, like, how'd the conversation go with your team of, like, as you're doing this research on how to have an impact in this particular space, how was it that, hey, we arrived at, let's have this little 1 inch robot that we send to all of these students and build curricular and lesson plans or whatever on the back end of that? How did all that come to be? It seems like such a big task. Just me thinking about how to wrap an idea around such a big issue. You know what I mean?
Yes, and you are absolutely right. It is a massive task for us. At the same time, we don't really make even educated guesses ourselves. Our strength comes from our community. We are constantly asking our community what they want from us. So in this moment was an immediate really offense on going to our community of teachers, educators, districts, librarians, asking them, what's the moment? What do you guys want to see from a company like us? How can we help? We're always in the business of helping. How do we become part of the solution? And I would say the first things that came back from our community was they really wanted PD. They wanted professional development help in this moment. So we immediately started developing our professional development program, our PD for our teachers to gain the PD credits that they were asking for. And in that same vein, we were asking a lot of questionnaires, a lot of feedback from our community. And, we saw the writings on the wall that back to school is not going to be what it was pre-COVID. It's going to be some sort of a hybrid, at least in certain places, not just in the US, but around the world. And for us to continue to be relevant, because we're looking at our solution, we want to be able to impart a solution at a global scale to elevate curriculum and to elevate how we're teaching students. Mm-hmm. It's no longer going to be focused on, we're teaching one way in one region, but another way in another region. These skill sets that the business community is looking for is global. They're not really looking for critical thinking in Europe, but not in Africa. I mean, critical thinking is critical thinking. So
everybody wants the same thing. Yeah.
Right. So the way we look at it is our solutions, we have to think macro right away.
So that's a common theme. What you just said is a common theme that I'm hearing from a lot of people that are guests on this show, is that one way to do this entrepreneurial journey is to just come up with an idea and shove it into the marketplace. And what I'm hearing more and more of, and I just heard it from you too, is your customers, your future customers are actually your partners in helping you build a successful thing or a successful service, and their feedback and their partnership is actually critical to success long term.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, sounds like that's really what has made your guys' job that much easier, and how you came up with what you currently have, which is the little robot and the curriculum, the 3,000 lessons that you now have.
Right. We're as good as our community that uses the product. So it makes sense for us to make sure that we're building what they want. And when we built out the initial software package, which is Ozobot Classroom, which communicates with our robots, with our Ozobots, that was done in collaboration with over 1,000 teachers over a course of a year. We go to a lot of the education trade shows. Part of them coming into meeting with us at the booth is that they fill out the questionnaires that we have after they go through the experience with us. Now that they've seen what we're doing, the integration of our LMS system, it's fresh in their minds, and we go, okay, now based on what you just saw, what do you like about it? What you don't like about it? What would you like to see us add to it? And this was all during the R&D phase. So we were kind of using our trade shows as almost a lab, an R&D lab, to show them what we were wanting to build for them. So, and it's been an amazing process, and I recommend it for any company.
Yeah,
building it for someone, make sure that someone is involved in the creation with you.
Who's gonna buy it? Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like having skin in the game almost, right?
Right, exactly.
How big? How broad are you guys at this point? Are you? I would imagine you're all over the U.S. Are you Are you in other countries? How far out does it go now?
We're in about 20 countries. Obviously, the U.S. is our main our main market. We've picked when we first looked at it, we also looked once again on a macro scale. How do we kind of impart this this thought across the globe? And we picked influencer nations that kind of hit some criteria for us in terms of how forward thinking they were with incorporating STEM, computer science, into their curriculum. How connected are they in terms of their connectivity in their classrooms? And we ended up picking Korea and France from both of those regions about 5 years ago as areas that we thought were countries that we identified as countries we wanted to develop our solution there. And part of our building mechanisms is to you start early. You start with a couple of schools, and then you go into provinces, and you get more and more visibility. And eventually, with those countries too, it's much more top down versus here. It's a little bit more bottom up. Individual districts can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
In other countries, it's much more ministries of education. So with those, we made sure that we continue to kind of elevate and get the check marks that we needed to be approved by the ministries of education in those countries to be incorporated into their solution, into our Edtech solution, into the school systems. So countries like Korea and France, we were approved by the ministries of education to be incorporated. And that's how we begin kind of proliferating at a much more top-down approach.
Yeah, and that almost seems like it's easier to get implemented into their system if it's top down versus having to, meet with every school district in the US, and kind of bottom up approach seems like a lot less centralized, a lot more meetings, a lot more selling. Is that accurate?
It's somewhat accurate. I mean, there are challenges to both for sure. The size of the U.S. market, there is nothing like it. Obviously, what China is a pretty big one, but that's almost like a black box, and how you can proliferate properly there.
Yeah.
But I would say ultimately with places like France or Korea, it's a smaller market, so. And there's the localization components that you have to get add that to the whole roadmap and the rollout strategies, and it has to be trigger based on volume. I mean, if the Ministry of Education says yes, we love it, and we can be approved, the volume may still be not as big as even just one state here.
Got it.
Anymore. So it's a lot of time for us. We have to pick and choose where we allocate the resources, or even of our own human resources, and where we put our energy in. Because as you mentioned even earlier, what we're building is it's a massive ecosystem. It's an entire platform, and we're a smaller group. We're only about 40 people building, 40 people company. So making sure that we're allocating the resources to the right area. We allocate our resources in building the classroom correctly, or in localizing to the needs of Korea or Germany or some other country.
Mm-hmm. So this has probably caused you to travel a lot as well for work.
Well, pre-COVID, yes, I was traveling.
Pre-COVID, probably over the last several.
Pretty stationary right now.
Yeah, I know. I remember our last conversation, we kind of touched on travel a little bit. So I know you're a big traveler as well, like I am. What's some of the cooler places that you've been, either for this company or just for fun?
Well, one of the places that it's very cool and I always go to is the Czech Republic, is Prague. We actually have an office there, so it brings me there at least once a year. It's looks like a Disneyland for real. It's just this amazing place with beautiful castles, and everything is so pristine. So I always love going there. And then from there, I have access to kind of going to other countries around that area, and just the people are amazing, so super friendly, and I really enjoy that part of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. This is exactly what I was actually in Prague last July, August for the first time, and the cat like it's what you'd picture, exactly what you're saying, Disneyland. It's just castles everywhere, and just I don't know how they built all this way back in the day, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely magical.
Yeah.
Then I also love going to Asia because, you know, with Korea being one of our first and largest internationals, I go there quite a bit. There's opportunities to speak to the government officials there, and also to the press there, as we're becoming more prevalent in the school systems.
How long have you been in that country in particular? You're like Ozobot.
In Korea, I think we're going on 4 years now.
Ooh. So it was about, because the company's about 8 years old, right? Maybe a little more.
Company, 2014.
2014. Okay. Oh, so you actually entered that market shortly after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's great. Quick growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your team must be doing something right.
You know, well, our team is a collection of our community. So we have a passionate group. Everyone, I think that's one of the big things when you're also bringing on team members. It's important that culture is a very important piece of building a strong team, but believing in the vision and believing in what we are doing is just equally as important for us. And at least I believe, to a person that's on the team, we all believe that we are here to help bring education to another level. So that makes it a much more rewarding journey for all of us.
That's great. So that's your the vision that you guys all have. That's like the common purpose you're all doing this for on a daily basis. That's what you're all out to cause. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so needed, just like what you were talking about in the very beginning of this conversation. The curriculum that we have been taught has not changed for decades. And this is probably a very big reason why a lot of people say, oh, you know, in terms of technology, a lot of these other countries are actually surpassing the US because we're not changing much of our curriculum. We're not focusing on these, you know, these STEM subjects. I don't know what you call them,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so good for you guys for actually causing a shift in that place. And I think with all of this happening, COVID and working more remote and going to school remote, I think interjecting technology into our daily lives is, I mean, anything that has technology behind it, I think is going to catapult us further down that road. And you guys are already several years ahead of the game. So
we feel, I mean, there's no way that technology is going away.
no.
So it's the reality of what it is. You know, technology in and of itself is very addictive, and it's hyper growth versus even spirituality, which is much more linear growth. So it's so important for us, with technology being really kind of introduced into all aspects of our daily life, that our children have a greater understanding and a deeper respect for it, and not just take it for granted and use it in this, when you first mentioned me, like the consumption versus the creation.
Mm-hmm.
If they're just consuming it, they're not going to respect it, and they're not going to respect that it can actually not manage correctly, not produce the best outcomes.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. What is what's ahead for you guys? What does Ozobot look like 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Do you have a vision kind of set that you're trying to achieve? Is it additional products? Is it more global growth? What are you guys focused on?
Well, we're continuing to focus on delivering content and empowering the community to help shape curriculum. So whatever that means from a product roadmap perspective, it's very important for our software component to continue to always deliver to the teacher as much information as a teacher needs to be as efficient and effective as they can be. And from the hardware perspective, just like with the phones and the computers, and when you think about, I'm on every other version of my phone. I always skip a version and then buy the next one. I'm not sure. I'm stuck on the even numbers now, and so
Right.
I go to the even ones and I get one. But it's also because even on the hardware side, technology is moving very fast. So it's becoming more efficient. You can get more power, and we're also the same concept with our robots. We listen to our community. Like the community right now, they didn't realize that we can do K-12 with our solution, all subjects. We don't just focus on coding and STEM. We're infused and integrated into every subject. So as a teacher gets the product, they start to realize, oh, I can actually not just do my biology, but I can actually also do English with this. So it's becoming more and more of a workhorse in the classroom, where the one we're hearing from our community is, it'll be great if your battery life can go a little bit longer so we can actually use it for multiple lessons or multiple classes and not just once a day. So that would be something that we would look to incorporate in future builds, is a much larger battery life so we can accommodate what we're hearing from our community.
Got it. How easy or difficult is it for a teacher to implement this into their daily job? Basically, they get the package from you guys and learn a little bit about it. How easy is it for them to kind of push it into what they're doing every day?
For us, we looked at, who are we solving for? And it comes down to making sure that we're delivering a solution around the primary person we're solving for. And the primary person we're solving for is the teacher. The user is the student, but the primary person that's using it is the teacher. And so our number one goal is to make it as simple as possible out of the box. The teacher can take it out of the box within about 45 minutes of learning how to use the product in the multiple different ways, because we have a patented color command language. So they learn how to they can code the bot through colors. They learn how to do that in about 10 minutes. They learn how to then elevate to the next level, which is using our visual programming language, our blocks, understand how that works. And right off the bat, they're ready to go. They're within about 45 minutes, they can begin teaching their first class with Ozobot. And then we have a very simple search criteria. So they go into the lesson library. They go, hey, I'm a 6th grade teacher. I teach math. And it automatically pops all the lessons and I'm from this state. These are my standards. And it just pops all the lessons that are available to them. And they just plug and play.
All of that is included. It's like that simple. It's that easy to navigate.
It has to be, or you won't get the adoption.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. So if for the listeners, anyone that's interested in learning more, contacting your team to maybe get a demo, what's the best way for people to find you guys?
The best way is ozobot.com. On there, it's a little bit of an explanation about all of our one-to-one programs, and actually you can request a demo right off the homepage on ozobot.com to get a full demo of how we can integrate with your school systems. And otherwise, you can also hashtag Ozobot and give us a shout out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and when we post this episode, we're going to be putting all the links on everywhere as well. So everywhere we post.
Awesome.
So where's the once we're able to travel again, where's the next trip for you?
The northern Mediterranean area I've just fallen in love with. So that's an area I always love to go back to. The Adriatic Sea is just an amazing area.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to go back there to just like unwind. I do have family in the Philippines, so I'd love to always it's a whole other side of the world, but to go back there as well. And then I think you and I spoke about, ancient civilizations, and I always like to go and just kind of read up become a student of that. So there's quite a few countries that I need to go check some of those ancient ruins.
Yeah.
And come up with my own theories about them.
Yeah, no, that's great. God, I don't know. I have so much more to explore. I'm not sure where my next trip will be, but probably Spain or something. I haven't done some of the European countries that I've been meaning to do for a while. So
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to, hopefully by the end of this year, things will get unlocked. We'll see.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
Getting the itch.
Stay positive on that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So just a couple personal questions, rapid fire to kind of wrap this up. And again, I appreciate your time, just for us to kind of learn more about what drives you and maybe some habits that you have to help you be successful. Do you follow any sort of morning routine or any sort of ritual that kind of serves you as an individual so that you can, be your best self when you're working with your team at Ozobot?
Meditation and my workout is in the morning. I do about a half an hour workout and a half an hour walk, and that just clears my mind. I do some deep breathing just to kind of bring back to ground level. I make sure that I speak out about what I appreciate in life and why I'm grateful about something.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've actually learned from one of our own sales members who always we have lunch and learns at our office where one of our sales team members always speaks about waking up every morning and being grateful for something. So I've adopted that too, and that's always a great way to start, because you can always focus on the negative if you choose to, but it's always good to start focusing on the positive.
Yeah, it's like a mindset shift every morning. That's great. I'm going to have to, I do get present to gratitude, automatically when I think of it, but it's working it into a routine would be helpful. And then last question. Are there any books or that you've read or individuals that you follow on social media or anything that have been super impactful in your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, from an entrepreneurial journey, the book is by Gerber, Michael Gerber, I think. It's the E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth. It's a great book for first-time entrepreneurs, even people that have gone through it, just to remember to work on the business as much as in the business, because it's so easy when you get into the thick of things that you're so focused in the business that you don't take a moment to kind of step out and look at it from a macro scale. So I love that book. Other books like The Power of Now is another amazing book that I love to share, because it reminds you to focus in the moment and not always like project forward or regret the past, because then you're never quite fully aware of your moment.
That is that the one by Eckhart Tolle?
Eckhart Tolle, yes.
Yeah. I've I think that one's in my queue on Audible, and I have not started it yet. I have to do that.
It's a great read. It's a great read.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time again. This is fascinating, learning more about Ozobot and kind of your history and what led you to what you're doing now and where you guys are going. Very needed, very cool technology you guys have, and we'll look forward to seeing what's next for you.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Great. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You do the same. Take care.
You too.